Greetings, it's November 4th, 2021, and I'm Don Sly. I'm in Corvallis, Oregon. I thought perhaps maybe you might be missing me. I'm in my car. I'm having medicine. I can't do it where I'm staying. And, I'm not playing music as much because I'm limited in where I can go. The lighting's terrible in here. It's just my dome light. Maybe I'll turn on two. I will be playing music as far as I know Sunday. The closest place for me to play is at Calapooya Brewing in Albany, Oregon, 4 to 6 at the Blues Jam with Froggy. It's a good time. Come listen. Other than that, I don't know. I need some new jams. I'm interested in trying to get connected with the Corvallis community band, and trying to find out what other things are happening or see if there's a way to make something new. I still don't know what happened to my house. Nobody's letting me know. I've been told all my items have been sold without my permission. I don't know how much money, and I've been told I'll get a check, but it never arrives. When I have my baby, I can't be where I'm staying anymore. And I'm trying to get connected with as many resources as possible. Things are going well with Bella here. There's 3 little dogs around, and so far so good. She had a little teeth baring today over treats, but she hasn't snipped at anybody, and she's doing very well. She hasn't actually, as far as I know, since I've been her dog mommy, she hasn't been after any other dogs for like years and years and years. I do believe she sees small dogs as kitties, which she enjoys. She's been doing good with big dogs too. I took her to the park. I went to do some errands in Eugene yesterday and took her to the dog park at Amazon, which has an absolutely beautiful view. If you ever need to go to a dog park in Eugene, Oregon, go to that one. It's poorly drained. They could do a better job of draining it because it's often filled with water because it's Oregon. But there's a beautiful view of Spencer Butte. It's very nice. It takes excellent pictures. Well, it doesn't. You can take your own pictures with the mountain in the background. The Butte. It's just a smaller mountain. Butte is a smaller mountain. I don't know what makes a butte not a mountain and vice versa. It probably has something to do with height, but I would not know. I'm in some major pain. Like, my back hurts today. Bella was pull-y last night. And I drove back and forth to Eugene, and I have arthritis in my back. I have for a long time, and I have bone spurs in my neck, and I've got broken spots and discs out of place, and a broken tailbone and a shattered pelvis, and I don't want to go into a whole bunch of details because I've been begging to be like a bionic fucking woman for a little while. Like, I'm fairly certain they could put some titanium or some shit in there, because I know it's fairly easy to replace hips and all sorts of things, and I want to be able to move normally for me. I should have assistance walking. Like, if you look at all my x-rays, I should be in like a wheelchair or using a walker, but I would rather be like in pain. I'd rather just like do what I normally do, and then I like lay on my bed for a day or two while I feel better, because I have spasms and stuff like that. And the nearest masseuse that my insurance covers is in Portland, which is like an hour and a half with traffic away. And so I'm really quite poor. So I don't use my money on inappropriate things. I've managed to do what I can do with very little money, but it doesn't leave a lot. So I'm hoping to get subsidized housing, or maybe, just maybe, I have more money than I've ever known, and it's been used on things that I don't have ownership of physically yet, because maybe I don't know about them, or maybe somebody is messing with my mail. I've been having some problems with getting certain pieces of mail to me, but I have established where I'm at with providers. I have to switch all my providers because I've moved counties, and so that means I have to change who does my counseling and who's my doctor and who does everything. So everybody's busy. There's wait lists everywhere. There's a lot of stuff that's more important, and that's just how we've gotten to be. We say it has to do with COVID, so I don't know what it really has to do with. It seems to be kind of like laziness and sloth, or seems like there's a pile of money somewhere that people have access to that I don't know about yet, because places like to close at 2 and take off, stuff like that. Like sometimes people send whole entire gifts and parties and meals and trips and things, hoping that they get to me, and sometimes they get diverted. They get diverted to somebody else instead. And then you can't get your latte or your whatever. Cocoa, tea. I don't get tea at Starbucks. I used to, occasionally whenever I would go to Starbucks, because other people wanted to. I think it's too much money for fucking coffee and for tea. And I can understand if you get a certain flavor or something like that. I think that's cool. But if you're just going for regular coffee, it's really fucking expensive. That's just how I feel about it. And I get tea when I go there, and they give you 2 tea bags, and it costs the price of 10 tea bags at the fucking store. I like Earl Grey, is my favorite, with a little cream, and raw sugar is my preference. That's what I like. I'm just saying that because I'm not drinking tea right now. I'm not drinking alcohol. I'm just having medical marijuana. That's the only thing that I do. So, Starbucks and all coffee places. I remember when there was Maxwell House and Folgers, and I don't know how to make that shit. I'll just put it that way. One time my dad called because he was coming back from a job late and he needed coffee to stay up. And he talked me through making my first pot of coffee. I was probably in my 20s. And this is a man who worked his whole life on construction job sites, and it was sludge to him. Like, I think it's hard to mess up coffee as badly as I did, but he didn't make me feel bad about it at all. But he did note it, and others were noted, but it wasn't made to make me feel bad because he was glad that I tried. And he just never asked me for coffee again. Now, I didn't do it on purpose, but I did learn how to make much better coffee, and had an espresso machine pretty early on. So I made vanilla lattes. It's my girlfriend back then liked vanilla lattes. That's why we had a machine. So I learned how to do that. But I haven't done it in a long time, and I don't know much about coffee, and I'm really not going after Starbucks at all. It's not like I'd want to own them or anything like that. I don't know. I don't know what I would do with Starbucks. There's a lot of those around. Integrity coffee, anybody? Integrity tea? I would add some. I would have some good products. Some edibles. I think Starbucks needs edibles. But that's just me. So maybe somebody can make that partnership happen. We really need to get the cannabis industry to be able to be legal internationally to make it work, and everything would be great with all economies fairly quickly. People wouldn't have to waste time like doing black market and pretending that they're taking other things that they're not. Maybe we wouldn't have to have all the scariest items that I could possibly think of in my mind. And I could take suggestions to get worse of what you could find on Amazon to add onto a wish list. Because I remember when Conair hot rollers, ceramic rollers, were first out in the 80s. And it was a very convenient way to curl your hair. And something tells me that a large load, perhaps even a butt load, not literally, fellas, don't get too excited, of curlers, Conair curling machines, not curlers, not a curling wand or a curling brush. It's 24 ceramic curlers that you put in a machine and they heat up so you can put them on your head and have instant curls. Somebody is now responsible for getting rid of a lot of them because they thought that they would pick them up for me and forget to give them to me. It wouldn't be such a big deal, except these particular people are like, they have the curliest hair ever. They have really curly hair. Like, if they wanted to find something on their wish list that had to do with hair, it would be a way to straighten hair. Like, curly is not their problem. Like, if they got a whole entire case of Aussie Mega shampoo, I can't remember what the fuck it's called because I use the moist kind, but there is a kind that gives it body that makes your hair curly. They don't need that. They don't need more curl to their due at all. None. So it's kind of like a natural consequence. It's kind of an experiment that's happening in real life that they didn't really want to sign up for, but it's still going on without their permission. Or maybe they did give permission and didn't read the fine print. Or maybe they did read the fine print and it turned out being a much different errand than they thought. It's so hard to say. It is so difficult to know. But I've been planning for about 2 or 2.5 years for Pussy Taco Thursday, which still, I have nary an item with a Pussy Taco graphic on it. And I probably selected at least 20 different things, ranging from Pussy Taco socks, the tights, the tank tops, one in a woman's style and one in a man's style. I do believe that there was a bicycling Pussy Taco jersey. If you don't know what this is, if you go on Amazon, sooner or later it pops up. There are clothes that have a cat. It looks really happy or distressed. It depends on your perspective. And there's tacos. Sometimes it's pizzas. I've noted sometimes it's pizzas, but I tried to focus on tacos just because I'm into women. I tried to focus on tacos. I do know there's a pair of tights. They're women's tights, of course, and the cat faces on the crotch. And I do hope that somebody was showing up for a special occasion only to find their last and only pair of leg wear were that particular item. Because there's really no way around that giant cat head down there, right square on your pussy. It just is like a double. It calls for it. It's an automatic. You notice it. There's not a pair of shorts that will fit over top to make it a little bit more appropriate attire. You may wear the Pussy Taco groin wear, or you can go naked. That's what we're playing tonight on Don Sly's particular game show. I do believe it's in Toledo. I came up with some ideas and I thought nobody listened for a long time. But I'm getting very small, subtle hints that maybe it was worth it to go down to my last dime. I live in a 2000 Lexus. It's a GS 300. It's probably the last one left on Earth. Because although it's quite uncool to be just like Don Sly, it's really fun to pretend. And I happen to do some really stuff in my car that really shouldn't have happened. And it's extinguished many a Lexus GS 300. I think about 83% of the whole population of this particular model of car and year of car totally obliterated trying to reenact my stunt in my Instacart delivery in the hills of Eugene after a snowstorm. It was completely ridiculous to go up there. Nobody could. They were trapped up there for like a fucking week, and I got this car up there with bald tires. I'm sure there's a graphic that CNN would love to fire up their computers and get at. You know, they like a good graphic when there's something to be explained. And there's computer people on standby that could figure that out. You could call one or two. It's okay. You can do it. There's not many ways that I could have got up to the top of that mountain. And there was only one way down, and my car couldn't come with me. It was stuck up there because a really gross man thought that if my car stayed the night there, it meant I did too. And I tromped down that hill. I took out what I could. I took my ukulele. My most valuable thing, which I don't even own now. Cue the crass and disgusting things of all the people who hate me of the world doing things to that ukulele now and taking pictures because they think that it hurts me. I took that ukulele and I walked through serious ice, snow. We don't, when it does that kind of thing, when there's a snow or ice storm in Eugene, nobody does anything about it. Like, they go in their house and they don't go to work. Like, you don't drive, most people don't drive in it. Sometimes we get people from other places that can and have the setup to do it, and they like that. But there's not going to be a snowplow coming along, or, you know, there might be some way to get gravel down in one or two strategic places, but we're just not set up. It does not happen very often here. And it did really badly. And it was dangerous. And I was really upset. And I completed I completed that Instacart order, by the way. I couldn't get my car all the way there. I had a broken tailbone and a shattered pelvis and a broken back then too, but I was on medical leave from my social work job that made me a lot of fucking money, and I needed the money. And so I walked probably a half a mile up a really steep hill all the way to these other people's house, because the house that, you know, they didn't want me to actually deliver to them, so they had me go somewhere else. It was really kind of weird. I didn't understand it. But I did that twice with 2 sets of bags and couldn't get my car's e-brake off. It was stuck. My car was stuck up there. It was like somebody had done something to make it stuck there. And I should have just slept in there, but I wasn't used to just sleeping in my car that well. I had in my Prius, actually. I had slept quite a bit in my Prius, but it's not very much fun to sleep in your car. Like, most people could do it for a night or two, but I did it for like 2.5 years with very, very little anything. Hotels here and there, and maybe staying on the floor at somebody's house, but really not pretty much in my car. It's very uncomfortable. And mostly you have to worry about finding places to poop and pee that won't get you in trouble. And people, once they figure out that what your deal is, they don't want you around. And they don't like you coming to hang out at things, and they don't, you know. I started going to play music because it was cold in my car, and so my Prius died in 2017. It had like almost 300,000 miles on it, and the motor just totally quit. And I was by the airport in Eugene, and I had to get it towed. And the police officer was a state trooper of Oregon, and I live streamed it, by the way. She listened to sports radio and took me and the shit that I had in my car to the Mission shelter, to the homeless shelter, where somebody called and told my dad that they had watched that, and he came and picked me up and put me in a hotel for like 2 or 3 nights, and it was not very far from Sam Bond's garage, and it was in walking distance. I was at the Econo Lodge in Eugene, and so I went to Sam Bond's garage, and I had a mandolin, and I started playing bluegrass there, and I also started going to the Irish Jam, and I filmed a bunch of it. I live streamed a lot because I was really scared, and I was wanting to like show what was happening around, because there was some mean and weird shit happening to me. Like at Sam Bond's garage, this woman that looked like Zoe Deschanel took like $100 bills out of my bag when I was on stage, and she said her name was Margaret, and she played fiddle, and you know, I hadn't been homeless, I hadn't been poor, I hadn't been any of those things, and I had this idea that if you were a musician and you put your shit on the stage, the other musicians wouldn't fucking take it. This was like 3 or 4 years ago, and things like that would happen at places, and things that would show up that people would watch my videos and they would send things saying, you know, my name on it, wanting me to have them, and they would end up calling and asking to give me, you know, a dinner or drinks or whatever, open the tab, and I never got any of that once, ever, any single time. I've had people juggling my address, so they're getting mass amounts of my mail and forwarding it left and right. Me being homeless is just a joy to people, the people that are thieving from me. They have a network set up where they run it up and down, and they sell it on eBay, and they sell it and resell on Amazon, and a lot of them are people that I went to high school with, and back then we were about 1,400 people in the whole town of Cresswell, Oregon, when I went to school. In high school, I was there 84 to 88, and I was moved there in 1977, second grade. My stepdad was from there. The family has a century farm, and so I had been in Hawaii and Sicily and Virginia. My stepdad was in the service. He adopted me when I was right before I turned 3, and we went and traveled abroad. And then I came back to Cresswell, and they were redneck, and they were not, they weren't very nice to me in some ways, and I remember things being really hard, and I used to be very confident and very bold and loud and like to show off a lot, and I learned that girls weren't supposed to be like that in Cresswell, and that I needed to shut up and take my place. And I used to fight, and I did enough to like I don't remember it very well, but I did enough when I showed up to let people know not to fuck with me, and they didn't really challenge me very much. But I didn't really do that, and if I did, I have absolutely no recollection at all. I know that I have extreme post-traumatic stress disorder, and I did back then, and I'd space out for a long time. And I do believe that I had seizures when I was in grade school, but I don't remember for certain. I know that that's something that I am having right now, and I have them in public sometimes, and people don't do anything, and it's a little confusing to me, because I don't know if they don't realize that that's what's happening, or I don't know. I've got some medical stuff going on that it would be nice to have somebody that like knew some medical shit to take a look, but I get sent in circles, and I get sent to the emergency room, and you know, I get being told I can have a primary care provider in a couple weeks, or you know, maybe next week, or this or that, and emergency rooms will take a lot of x-rays of me, and then they tell me I'm fine, and I know that I'm not. So I don't find that a helpful service at all. I do believe my left arm and shoulder completely dislocated, and I think it's broken. It's been broken since February. I had x-rays in Cottage Grove Hospital 2021 this year, and they had a woman that looked like the woman from Glee, spacing out her name, that played the gym teacher, and it looked exactly like her, and she had on a kooky outfit, a doctor's outfit, and big glasses and all this stuff, and she wanted to put me in a funny little room so that I could rest while I was waiting for whatever procedure they wanted to do, the x-ray. And a nice nurse already checked me in, and she knew my hand was broken. She didn't need a fucking x-ray. It was pretty obnoxious. It was kind of distressing because they were watching. It wasn't just regular TV. I was down with just watching what was on TV in the lobby, and they had Mamma Mia. And it wasn't Mamma Mia that happened to be on TV with commercials. It was like they purposely took a DVD of that shit and put it in to watch it. I like the songs. I like the idea of the movie a lot. But there's some really bad casting in there and some really shitty acting. The singing's usually there's a few people that ruin the singing. I'll just put it that way. I won't make you feel bad or visually highlight your face right now in my mind and bold enough for others to notice. But you didn't last as James Bond very long either. I think you probably are a nice guy, but I personally don't know you. I've always been a little bit grossed out by guys with hairy chests that are excessively hairy, because when I was like 6 or 7, they just really enjoyed finding ways for that Burt Reynolds centerfold in the Cosmopolitan to show up into my life. And there was just way too much hair and skin, quite honestly, for anybody to look at unless you like that sort of thing. He was very handsome. I mean, very fit. There was a bearskin rug covering strategic parts. And it made my grandma and my mom very, very excited. Like almost a Tom Selleck with a volleyball level of excitement. Definitely. But you don't need, once you see that shit and then you see it later on in any kind of way, it's just, for me, it harkens back to that and gives me a little, I wouldn't say it's like it is a cause of my PTSD, but it might have, I mean, it's possible. It's just possible that maybe they just showed it to me one too many times. Enough for all the hairy-chested guys to just take me there instantly. So I try not to judge at all, because it's not something that, I don't believe that they select that at all. I wouldn't expect somebody to have to groom if it were like that, you know, like Married to the Mob, what the hell is your name? You were in Beetlejuice. It's my favorite movie, actually. And it's not because of you, it's because of Gina Davis. And it's not because I have a crush on her, it's because I think she's really fucking smart. I really loved that movie. The premise of the movie was awesome. Definitely. I don't date men, ever. Never. I don't date men. I never date men. I had some really awkward, very short relationships, like in the early 90s, but there was two of them, and that was enough. There was one in the early 90s and one like a little bit later of the 90s, and that was about it. So drunken, awkward attempts at sex that were very unfulfilling happened, and that was enough. I don't need to go back there. I don't need to find the man of my dreams. I'm not searching. I just haven't clicked with the right guy. There's none of that. There's also never gonna be any, ooh, I really need a man to come in with my woman and I am a monogamous person. I can only have one at a time. That's all that's plenty for me. I don't need to have sex being an excuse to be with somebody that I wouldn't be with. I'm just plain, I'm normal. I think it's normal. I kind of am grossed out by the people who are into like open group sex and having relationships with more than one person, and I think it's their right to do it. But I also like am kind of really turned off to hear them talk about like having partners or like everything in plural, like the whole like or the polyamorphous people and stuff. Again, I think it's their right and whatever. If they all want to do that in their little group, that's fine. But I just find it weird. It just seems very weird to me. I worry about them getting AIDS and HIV and stuff, honestly. And I think you want to fuck people, like animals, go for it, like whatever. But I don't really need to hear about it. And when you label yourself things that highlight that, it just seems like that's what you want to bring up. And it's just, I was around in the 70s as a kid and I saw all those people doing that. And I was a kid and often I was being fucked. Or I had to be in the room because it was worth extra money. And it triggers me. I think it's gross. I just think it's an excuse to just, like if you're having safe sex, that's fine or whatever. But I think often half of the people involved in those scenes don't even want to be. So it's just, I find it very sad. Like I would never be hanging out with the porn group, the people that would be into that sort of thing. So whether you're getting paid or not, or, I think they're mostly people that were sexually abused and were taught by their parents to do that. And they don't ever go to treatment and they don't ever get better. I experienced a lot of that stuff when I was young, and I have flashbacks about it all the time, and I don't find it hot. I find it gross. And I don't want my daughter to be around it at all. And she is. And it's being filmed. And it's gonna get people in serious fucking trouble. And they're using somebody else's internet that'll turn them in. It's not my internet. My internet's on hold. So you hack somebody else's internet and they come to arrest them and there's nothing going on there. Well, they'll go next door. They'll figure out where it's going eventually. So I have a feeling we don't have the brightest crew on board. Like they probably have their bumper duct taped to their car because they can't afford a real repair and they don't have insurance. I didn't really feel like talking at all. I just came out here to get high and to sing, so that's what you're getting now. My phone's turned off. My headphones. My JBLs. I've got it on the 70s, 80s, and 90s on Pandora radio. That's what's happening. I would call my show It's Time to Get High with Don Sly. That's what I would call it. But I really don't have the proper implements for it. Nobody interested in being a guest. Hasn't happened yet. All the guests that I had are running around in the homes that people sent for me to use, taking the mail that they're sending to me, and figuring out where to resell some really scary, very scary things. Why would Dawn Sly put a giant two-headed butt plug dildo on her wish list? Not because she would use it, because she knew that you would have to find some places for them to go. And sooner or later, somebody that has no clue what they're meant to do is going to use them in ways that get attention. I did think about it. There was a plan, and the folks in my home right now are pretty happy about the thought of a jackhammer-sized butt plug. Not me. Ask the bulldozer driver at McKinsey Willamette Hospital in, that would have been like 2016, how I feel about vibration. It's not welcome in my world. It's not something that turns me on at all. It actually annoys me. Sometimes we are wired differently because of things that weren't meant to be. Don't you tell me about me, tell me all the mood. I didn't know what it would be. Well, me, so terrible and now. You don't need everything inside and out, out, out. Don't swing, so be there, no. Come back, happenings, that you're looking on. Slow change, pull them apart. I'll never think anything right, baby. Don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me. When no sound above me, work away, all light of me. Rain keeps falling down, down, down. You recognize me, call my name, or walk on by me. Rain keeps falling down, 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 down. Hey, 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 hey. Ooh, 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 oh. Don't you try to pretend this out of us, baby. You're not just oh, do tell to the plan says, I'll never say insecurities. Oh no, don't you forget about me. I'll be alone, dancing with you on earth, baby. Don't you take you apart. I'll be the black forever apart, baby. Don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me. Will you stand and love me? Look my way, make a look of me. Rain keeps falling down, down, down. Will you recognize me? Know my name or walk on by. Rain keeps falling down, down, down. Hey, 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 hey. Ooh, ooh, oh. Hey, hey, hey. Ooh, ooh, oh. By now you're wondering what was the point of my story about driving up that hill in the snow in Eugene. When I was walking back down with my ukulele, something came at me from behind. It looked like a really big white tiger that was very hungry. It had been fed for weeks. And I turned and waved my ukulele at it, and it made me lose my footing, and I slipped up the ice, and I landed on my head really hard, and I bounced, and I landed on my hip really hard. And the good news is that I think that it, did something to my hip and my tailbone that might make it actually fixable. And the bad news is that it hit the fuck out of my head so hard that it doesn't work right. And sometimes I get a thing that's like an impulse control shit thing that I lose my temper and I yell, or I maybe don't yell, but I say things that are uncharacteristic. And I usually use the word faggot, which I don't usually like to use. But it's in me somewhere deep. And I was around a lot of gay men when I was really young, and I was told not to tell about them. And I saw them do incredibly disgusting things. And that's one of the words that they used a lot. And so when I lose it, sometimes that's where I go. And it doesn't mean that I don't like gay men, because I do. In fact, I feel most safe around them because they're not going to try to do anything sexual with me. So it's not anything to do with that. It has to do with my birth father, who's a really closet homosexual, that people are watching openly have a lot of sex with a lot of men now because they think that they're watching me, and he's got some goofy wig on so he looks like me, because that makes it easier for the men to imagine that they're with a woman, so it's not so gay. So I don't understand all of it, but the thing that I do the worst now that I can think of is when something happens that doesn't go my way, I want to blame it on fags. And I don't really like that, and I don't know how to work on it. So if I do things worse than that, I actually need to be notified about it. I like people. I don't really care. I don't like pedophiles. I think that they're really gross. I don't think anybody should be having sex with children, and I don't think anybody should be teaching children how to have sex. I think they can do that plenty fine when they're old enough on their own. It's not something you really have to teach. Ooh, I saw she walked in through the outdoor. She wore a raspberry beret, the kind you find in a secondhand store. Raspberry beret. And if it were warm, she wouldn't wear much more. Raspberry beret. I think I love her. Fandrio, fandrio, fando, fandrio, fando, fando. Fandriatos fande, avantu vaso, fandriampo. E vantos fantiafo, vendes fonfo, e vanti fonfantios fanfo vadu. Vantu fosfate vato, and dice fantio fofando. Raspberry beret, the kind you find in a second-hand store. Raspberry beret. And if it were warm, she wouldn't wear much more. Raspberry beret. I think I love her. When I kiss her on the roof, I moved down where you are. Thunder down loud, it seems I need you feel like a movie star. Then, raspberry beret, the kind you find in a second-hand store. Raspberry beret. And if it were warm, she wouldn't wear much more. Raspberry beret. I think I love her. Raspberry beret, the kind you find in a second-hand store. It's a raspberry beret. Looking for the strain, the sound of your as my jeans. All the sound of face of down, just village rain. Wrote a song away to New Orleans. So I put on my round bell and my dirty red bandana. Swing songs, I'll be sing the blues. Until wipers step in time, I opened up his hand and we sang every song that was new. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Nothing, I said nothing but being free. Oh, I'm feeling good, disguising now when she sang the blues. Feeling good was good enough for me. Good enough for me and my Bobby, my gal. From the Kentucky coal mine to the California sun, Bobby shares the secrets of my soul. Through all kinds of weather, everything I've done, if I did things that things found my mobile. One day of my suddenly never step away. They're searching for that moment. I hope he finds it. I've seen them down tomorrows. I went sing of the family play. Sweeping out his heart next to mine. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Nothing, I said nothing left me. They would know that's easy now, but they sang the blues. If feeling good was good enough for me, ooh, good enough for me, my Bobby, my girl. La 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 la. La da 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 da, Baba McGee. La da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da 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 da, Baba McGee. La da da la da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da Baba and my Baba McGee. No 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 no. Hey, never Bob and never Bob McGee. Yeah, so I don't know something. Damn the sun. If it but did the best I can. Oh, there's a comment on. Baby Bob and me. Yeah. Ah na 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 na. Hey hey hey, Bob McGee. Hey, 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 Bobby McGee. Janice. I love that shit. I don't want Electric Avenue. I need better marijuana. Edibles, brownies. Oh, tranto, so attantrianto, atruto, atria. Andrea, oh, tranto, santrantandi, ato. Atrio, oh, tronto. Andrento, santriando, santru. Andrando, ando, andratonto, Se vai entrando, satrande, atrando, catrando, Andratko trandi ato satrakando atro. Utrando. Antranto tu satrato etia. Atrando. Atrio. Atrato tu atrazzo tu. Atrando, atrato tu, atrato, atriado, e atrato, 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 atranto, atrato, tu. E androndo a tua attrato tondo Adriando oh they to patro di body to attrato mo tratto Andrandosa Mantro tu de andrando tos andrando. It's the 70s, 80s, and 90s on Pandora Radio. Play me a next song. Sento vanto tent for you. I've dared to lose you can't afford to. Turn my soul to sound of lifting. When at night and by the sides you've lifted. Couldn't make me coming on like like it like, say I like it like that, like it like that. Like it like, say I like it like that, like it like that. Don't send no too much already. My lone deferred your laugh, you let me. Torn like friend, but ye be closer. No call you right, no fire is over. Why you like my home like that, home. Like it like, say I like it like that, like it like that. Like it like, say I like it like that, like it like that. Nothing is better sometimes. And save our silent goodbyes. When I just let it go, let me let you go. When I'm coming home, I could like say I like it like that, like it like that. I guess like te veía tu dentro, so te entrando. I switched to Billie Eilish radio. It's not the 70s, 80s, and 90s anymore. My hair looks shitty. Demonstrando, sabagarando. Agaradoni arato. Sent the call out, sent the call out, sent the call out. Mama, I'm fighting it out. They're in the final three. Down the dice and fights. 100,000 fees. I've been on horses. Suddenly, crazy, and they found the one to love the other. Out of house and red room. Rising from dancing round the bus hotel. We live in cities, above sea on swing. We're very pretty, 'cause we sure know how to run things. If they're the ruins, if vampires spread landmarks dreams. And you know, we're out of Salvador's dreams. But I hope of getting told to put my hands up in the air. So there, so folk, I'm trying to find the street, I don't take my folks. I went to beat him for the love they won't believe. It's only final signs, it's really. They live in cities we've never seen or street, not very pretty, but we sure know how to run things. They're the ruins of red earths of land our dreams. And you know, there are six finest teams. Kinda over getting told to throw my hands up in the air. So there, I'm enough over there now for some love, but still time I care. So there, we live in cities that never see or stream. Not very pretty, but we sure know how to run things. And then the ruins, vampires and our dreams. And you know, we're all each other's teams. We're on each other's teams, and you know, we're on each other's teams. On each other's team, and you know, and you know, and you know. Something country. Oh, I don't have very much country. Let's see. My collection. I have like older country on my Pandora stuff. Classic country. If I skip it... Stop. These are not songs I want to sing. They've looked out as a blend that play this way. I've always thought of time in a place. I've every time in any place. Then every time they ask me if I just smile and say, you've got the taste of an angel in the morning. There's no deep thinking of I knew you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning. Never like a devil when you get back home. We've only died at this. Time to have the happiness. The time that I'm never learned that simple thing. Life that I'm thinking of. Just learning at the man I love. Now the answer is in this song that I've only sang. You got to kiss an angel good morning. And never know you're thinking about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning. Never like a devil when you get back home. Kiss an angel good morning. Never know what you think about when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning. And never like a devil when you get back home. Yeah. People in Toledo want me to do something. I will. I'll do it, Toledo. They have somebody to do the saxophone part for Careless Whispers, so I don't have to stress about it. I don't have to admit that I can't see the writing, because I can't find a way to print it out large enough. The glasses I have aren't strong enough. So I'll sing it, and you can have your saxophone specialist do the solo for you. It's almost time for me to go inside. This will be my final song of the night. If I can hear it. How come it's quiet? Good Lord, I can't hear it. Malfunction. Apparently I can't play it. I feel so unsure. Take your hand and lead me to the dance floor. As the music plays, something in your eyes was the bright and silver swing of that silver light. I'm never gonna dance dance again. Guilty feet have got no rhythm, and it's easy to pretend. I know you're not a fool. Should've known better than to cheat a friend. Wasted chance that I've been given. No, I'm never gonna dance again the way I dance with you. Oh, oh, oh. I'm the never meant. Careless whispers, oh my good friend. Oh yes. Everything to find. There's no temptation in the truth. Pain is so hard you'll find. Never gonna dance again. Guilty feet got no rhythm. Though it's easy to pretend. I know you're not a fool. Should've known better than to cheat a friend. Wasted chance that I've been given. No, I'm never gonna dance again the way I dance with you. Oh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Tonight the music seems so loud. I wish that we could close this crowd. Baby, it's better this way. I know that there anything you wanna say. We could have been so good together. We could have been best friends forever. And I've known things to be easy. Never gonna dance again. Guilty feet have got no rhythm. Oh, it's easy to pretend. I know you're not a fool. Should've known better than to cheat a friend. Wasted chance that I've been given. No, I'm never gonna dance again the way I dance with you. Oh, oh. Now that you're gone, let you go. Oh, 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 oh. Now that you're gone, it's so bad, so wrong. Got to leave me alone. Ageretio macarantos, bageratio, andrando pa, andio trote bageratos, mandriato, trantos, agia, trantos, megia, androdia, sagerato, andriatos, mea, garayo, zagarandos, megia, canando, mandro, casafe, perfetto, fatti, pandro, mandro, quindi che fu fatto, pipi, vendi, fu patria, pomba, pipi, repi, andrati, fussi, pandro, fa patria, sakiri, andrani, amacara. Hanakaya Bakadiusi Minko Hayakara Haya Hanakaya Simia Karato Simikia Karatumia Ahantranto Haha Hekiria Handia Homandro Husia Karamba Hekiria Hadkarandios Le Kia Hea Mayo Bahufa Bendibusi Bikia Trandiosapa Happy Pussy Taco Thursday!